My name is Ethan Miller. I'm 32, born and raised in Seattle, but life's twisted roads landed me in Vancouver 3 years ago. I work as a project manager at an architecture firm. Structured life, organized chaos, controlled outcomes. At least that's what I thought. But this is the story I've never told anyone. Call it, I was helping her fix a chair. Then she said, "Why don't you just stay for dinner?" It started on a Thursday, late spring. You know, one of those weird days when the air smells like rain, even if it doesn't fall. I was at a client's house. Nothing unusual about that. Part of my job involved on-site consultations, layouts, measurements, renovations. I was there to discuss a kitchen remodel for a woman named Claire. I remember the first second I saw her. Messy bun. Gray, oversized sweater that slid off one shoulder. Barefoot. She had this chaotic elegance about her. Her eyes were stormy blue, with a hint of tiredness beneath them, as though life had taken more than it had given lately. "Hey, you must be Ethan?" she said, brushing her hair back. Her smile was polite but guarded. "Yeah, that's me. You must be Claire." I offered my hand, and when she shook it, her palm was warm, steady grip. Her house was a beautiful mess. Stacks of books on the stairs, half-finished canvases leaning against the walls, a piano covered in dust. A home that had stories, even if the owner didn't always tell them. As we walked toward the kitchen, I heard this sharp crack. Crack. Thud. We both jumped. Claire sighed. "God, that's the chair again." Sure enough, one of her wooden dining chairs was splintered halfway through the leg. "Let me help with that," I said before I even realized I was offering. I crouched down, inspecting it. "It's a clean break. Got any wood glue? Or screws?" She tilted her head, studying me like I was some alien species. "You know how to fix furniture?" I grinned. "I grew up with a dad who believed you weren't a man until you could fix anything with duct tape and a screwdriver." Her laugh was soft but real, the first time her shoulders relaxed. "All right, tools are in the garage. I'll grab them." 15 minutes later, I was on the floor, one knee on a towel, hands smeared with glue and sawdust, holding the leg in place. Claire sat cross-legged on the floor, handing me tools and making terrible small talk about how cursed the chair was. At one point, she said, "You know, I was supposed to throw this chair out. It's the last thing I have from my dad. But every time it breaks, I fix it again. Maybe that says something about me." She said it with a laugh, but her eyes, they softened. There was something in them. Loss? Loneliness? "Yeah," I replied quietly, tightening the clamp. "Maybe it says you're someone who doesn't give up easily." Silence. A long-waited silence. But not uncomfortable. It was like the kind of silence you have with someone you've known for years, not minutes. When I finished, I stood, brushing my hands on my jeans. "There. Should hold." Claire looked at the chair, then at me. Her mouth opened, like she wanted to say thanks or goodbye. But instead, she blurted out, almost surprising herself, "Why don't you just stay for dinner?" I blinked. "What?" She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, suddenly looking awkward. "I mean, you've been helpful. I was gonna make pasta anyway. It's just, well, it's been a while since I had company, to be honest." Her voice softened at the end, like she regretted admitting it. I should have said no. I had emails waiting, deadlines, a life on the other side of this doorstep. But something in me didn't want to leave. Yeah, sure. Dinner sounds great." The kitchen smelled like garlic and rosemary within minutes. We moved like two people who'd cooked together 100 times. Passing spices, chopping tomatoes, stirring without needing to ask what came next. Between laughs, the conversation turned real. She told me she'd been divorced 2 years. No kids. A freelance illustrator, working mostly from home. Her ex-husband was, in her words, a man who could fix everything in his life except himself. I told her about my move from Seattle, about how my mother passed 3 years ago, how the city didn't feel like home after that, how I was still searching for something, but I didn't know what. We ate, we talked, we laughed, and as the evening grew darker, The air between us shifted. When I finally stood to leave, I noticed something odd. A photo half hidden under a stack of mail on the counter. I don't know why it caught my attention. Maybe because the frame was cracked. Or maybe because of the way Claire subtly moved her hand to cover it when she noticed me glance at it. But I'd seen enough. It was a picture of Claire, standing next to a man. Not her ex-husband. This guy was younger, dark hair, broad shoulders, and something about his eyes, something cold. Before I could ask, Claire stiffened. That's, my brother. She swallowed hard. He passed away years ago. Her tone was clipped, defensive, like she slammed a door shut and locked it from the inside. Oh, I'm sorry, I said. I didn't mean. It's fine. She cut in quickly. It's fine. But her eyes were glossy, and for the first time that evening, she looked scared. I left with her number saved in my phone. She waved as I walked to my car, smiling, but her smile didn't reach her eyes anymore. As I drove home, my head swirled with questions I didn't have the right to ask. Who was the man in the photo, really? Why did her hands tremble when she mentioned him? And why, even after everything, did I already know I was going to see her again? The next few days were strange. I couldn't stop thinking about her, about that night, about the way her smile cracked ever so slightly when she mentioned her brother. We texted. Little things. Hope the chair's still holding up. It is, but it's already giving me attitude. Or, let me know when you need help fixing anything else. Careful, Ethan. I might just take you up on that. Playful, flirty, but always with a shadow underneath. That following Saturday, I found myself pulling up in front of her house again. She'd invited me over for coffee, but it felt like something more. The air was heavier, thicker. Claire opened the door, dressed in a faded NASA sweatshirt and ripped jeans. Her hair was down this time, waves of chestnut framing her face. You came, she said, her voice lighter than I expected. Yeah, couldn't let that chair think it scared me off. She laughed, but behind the laugh, her eyes scanned the street, like she was expecting someone, or watching for something. Inside, the house looked different, less clutter, but something was missing. I realized it after a few minutes, the photo, the one with her and the man, gone. She caught me glancing at the empty space on the counter. I put it away, she muttered, pouring coffee. Some memories aren't good for mornings. I nodded but didn't push. Yet, we sat, talked. Then, out of nowhere, a car pulled up fast, tires crunching over gravel. Claire's entire body tensed. Coffee sloshed in her mug. She stood so quickly she almost knocked her chair over. Noah, not today. Not now, she whispered under her breath. Her hands were trembling. Claire, what's going on? I stood, stepping toward her. Her eyes darted to the window. You need to stay quiet. Stay out of sight. Bang, bang, bang. A fist pounded the front door. Claire, open the damn door. A man's voice bellowed, deep, aggressive. My heart thudded against my ribs. I instinctively stepped between her and the door. Who is that? She swallowed, eyes wide. It's my brother. Her voice cracked. He's not dead. Not really. I just told people that because it's easier than explaining the truth. Another bang. Claire, I know someone's there with you. My blood ran cold. Ethan? Claire grabbed my wrist, squeezing hard. Listen to me. Whatever happens, do not open that door. She moved fast, bolting the locks, drawing the curtains. Her hands were shaking but practiced. Like this wasn't the first time she'd done this routine. I thought you said he passed away. I whispered, barely breathing. She wiped her palms on her jeans. Yeah, I lied. He's not who he used to be. He got into bad things. Drugs. Money. Worse. I cut him off years ago. But sometimes he shows up. When he needs something. Or when he thinks I owe him. Owe him what? Her lips trembled. Everything. He thinks I ruined his life when I refused to bail him out the last time. A shudder rolled through her. Ethan, I shouldn't have asked you over today. I thought he hadn't come by in months. I thought I was safe. Her voice broke on the word safe. A new sound broke the air, footsteps circling the house, then pounding on the back door this time. Claire, the voice barked. I swear to God, if you don't open this door, I'm gonna call the police. I hissed. I can't. Her voice was hollow. I tried before. Last time, the police said unless he breaks in, they can't do anything. Restraining order or not. Glass rattled. My fists clenched. Look, if he's gonna try anything, I'm not just sitting here. She grabbed my hand. No, if you go out there, you'll just give him someone else to hurt. Just wait. He throws his tantrum, then leaves. But even as she said it, her voice didn't sound convinced. A minute later, the pounding stopped. Silence. Long, terrifying silence. Then, faintly, a car starting. Tires screeching. Gone. Claire sank into a chair, her face pale, her fingers running through her hair in frantic motions. I'm sorry. I never meant to drag you into this. Hey. I knelt in front of her, hands on her shaking knees. You don't have to go through this alone. She blinked, stunned. Why would you even say that? You barely know me. I swallowed. Because I want to. I don't know why, but I do. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was heavy but different now. Something had cracked open. I've never told anyone, she whispered. Not really. Not how bad it gets. Her walls, those towering walls, were lowering. Not because I forced them, but because she was tired of holding them up alone. We spent the next few hours talking. Really talking. About her family. About mine. About mistakes. About how sometimes the people who are supposed to love you are the ones who hurt you the most. I helped her add extra locks to the back door. I even offered to stay the night on her couch. Not because I think you need protection, I said with a half smile, but because maybe you shouldn't be alone tonight. She looked at me long, deep, searching, then quietly said, yeah, stay. That night, as I lay on her couch, staring at the ceiling, listening to the wind rustle through the trees outside, I realized something. This wasn't just the start of something complicated. It was the start of something real, something neither of us planned. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the blinds like nothing bad had ever happened here. But even with the daylight, the air held this fragile quiet. I woke to the smell of coffee and something sweeter, waffles maybe. Claire was already up, moving around the kitchen. I could hear the soft clinking of plates. When I stepped in, she glanced back. Her hair was pulled into a messy knot again, but her face looked softer, less tense. Tired, but lighter. Hey, she smiled. Didn't wake you, did I? Nah, couch isn't bad, I said, stretching. Better than my old college futon. She laughed, but it was half-hearted. Thanks for yesterday. For staying. I leaned against the counter, watching her. You don't have to thank me. I meant it, Claire. I'm not going anywhere. Unless you want me to. She paused, spatula in hand, then sighed. You're something else, Ethan. You really are. We ate breakfast together, almost pretending the night before hadn't happened. Almost. But life doesn't let you pretend forever. Halfway through coffee, her phone buzzed. Claire stiffened. Didn't check it. Just stared. Is it him? I asked. She nodded silently. Screen down. Fingers trembling. Claire, you can't keep living like this. Looking over your shoulder. This isn't living. It's surviving. I know, she whispered. I know. She glanced at me, her eyes glassy but determined. I've tried to handle it alone for so long. Pushed people away because I thought I had to. But last night, something changed. She inhaled sharply. I don't want to live scared anymore. It wasn't a sudden fix. Life doesn't work like that. But that day, something shifted. We drove together to the police station. Filed a full report. Claire showed them threatening texts. Ones she'd hidden before out of shame or fear. She asked about a more enforceable protection order. I sat beside her, never letting go of her hand. Afterward, we stopped by a locksmith. Got new, stronger deadbolts. Security cameras too. I helped her set them up. At some point, she looked at me and said softly, "I've never had anyone show up for me like this." I smiled, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Maybe you've just been fixing broken things alone for too long." Weeks passed. Her brother disappeared again, for now at least. Whether it was the police visit or knowing she wasn't alone anymore, we didn't know. But the silence, it was a relief. In that silence, something bloomed. Something neither of us expected. We started spending more time together. Not because of fear, but because we wanted to. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into lazy Sunday mornings. Shared playlists, movie nights, and cooking disasters that left flour on her nose. Some days I caught her just watching me, like she still didn't believe any of it was real. And honestly, sometimes I felt the same. But healing isn't linear. One evening, we were sanding down an old shelf in her garage. Another project she couldn't quite let go of. Out of nowhere, Claire went quiet, frozen mid-motion. I touched her shoulder, and she flinched. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Sometimes the past still grabs me when I least expect it." I pulled her close. "Then let it grab you. I'll still be here when it lets go." Her hands tightened around me like she was holding onto a life raft. "Promise. Promise." A few months later, I was helping her load that same chair, the one that started it all, into the back of my truck. We were moving it to our new place. Yeah, our place. Because somewhere between broken chair legs, burned pasta, midnight breakdowns, and sunrise coffees, we found something neither of us was looking for. Love. The messy kind. The real kind. The kind you build. The kind you fix. And if you ask me what I've learned, it's this: sometimes life hands you broken things. Splintered, cracked, falling apart. People too. But it's not the breaks that define us. It's what we choose to mend, who we choose to show up for, and who chooses to stay when they don't have to. This is the story I've never told anyone. It started with fixing a chair. It ended with fixing a life.